Welcome to day 8. Today we're talking about the 7 ways to articulate with the hands. The first way, of course, is the pizzicato with either the left or the right hand. That's the easy one. And then we have 3 ways with the right hand. The first one is the bow change. All that happens with the bow change is that corner that's zooming around the string, the Helmholtz corner, it changes direction and it takes a few periods to do so. Another way with the bow is the string change. Now we talked about acceleration at the beginning of a stroke in order to get a clean start to the note. When you have a string change, you can't really just accelerate the bow because you'd run out of bow very quickly. So instead, we're going to do a sharp angle change, which will increase the energy to the next string and accelerate the string itself rather than the bow. The final way with the bow is the bouncing stroke. This creates a circular motion in the string, a kind of precession, if you will. We usually just refer to that as the ricochet. That one's pretty easy. It happens on its own. The ones in the left hand are a little bit trickier. The first one is a dropping fingers motion. So if you look, you can see I'm going to drop my fingers, but I'm going to let them bounce. I am not going to hold down the string with a death grip. I'm going to let them bounce. I'm going to let them bounce into the vibrato like an athlete rolling on impact. This saves your hands. Very important to save our hands. And then we have the lifting motion. This is an oblique motion. If I were to pull my hand away from the violin, you can see I'm actually just pulling my fingers back into the hand. And there you have the oblique motion. And then we have the shift. I'm going to do an entire video on the shift. So let me suffice it to say, the shift is where you take a finger and you lift it and you slide it and you drop it into the new position. This stops the wave reflections between the notes, effectively creating space. Let's look at a couple of examples from the repertoire, and we're going to actually practice these. The first one you should be very familiar with. It's from the Bruch Concerto, and we're going to talk about each one of these runs, notes in the runs, while we're playing. So the first one is going to be a bow start. The second one will be a finger drop, and then we have a bow crossing, and then a finger drop, and then a bow crossing. You'll always want to articulate with the bow if you have the choice. And then a finger drop, and then a bow cross, a finger drop, a finger off, and then we have separate, 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 separate. So let me go slowly. We're going to add one note at a time and practice each one of those articulations. You can say them out loud to yourself, but I would only do it once because it triggers the language side of your brain rather than the autonomic side of your brain, the right brain, as we usually call it somewhat inaccurately. So start just with one note and then add another. Another example could be from the Sibelius Concerto, where we have another slurred run, and this one has some separate notes and it also has some shifts. You can watch how I'm going to do this very slowly so you can see. And there you have just all the 7 ways that you need to articulate anything in the repertoire.